In the annals of true crime, certain cases burrow into the public consciousness and never leave. The story of Christopher Watts is one such case. It's a narrative so grotesque, so devoid of empathy, that it shatters the very concept of the all-American family. On the surface, Chris was a devoted husband and father. Yet in spite of seeming normal and level-headed, he would later annihilate his entire family for a fresh start. To anyone scrolling through Facebook in 2018, Christopher and Shannan Watts were the ultimate dream couple. Living in a comfortable home in Frederick, Colorado, they documented their lives with an abundance of love. Shannan, a vivacious and outgoing woman, frequently posted videos of her husband, their daughters, 4-year-old Bella and 3-year-old Celeste, and their journey as a family. Chris, a petroleum operator for Anadarko, often appeared as the strong, silent type, lovingly tolerating his wife's camera antics. The fairy tale seemed to be getting its perfect ending when Shannan announced she was 15 weeks pregnant with a baby boy they planned to name Nico. To the outside world, Chris Watts had it all. Here's the thing, though. Fairy tales often hide the darkest truths. See, while Shannan was away on a business trip in August 2018, Chris was making other plans. He was having a frantic affair with a coworker, Nicole Kessinger, and was telling her he was separated. He was eager to start a new life, but felt his current one was standing in the way. In the early morning hours of August 13, Shannan returned home from her trip. Sometime around 2 a.m., an emotional conversation took place. Chris confessed to the affair. According to prosecutors, Shannan told him she would take the children and leave. Faced with the consequences of his betrayal, Chris made a decision that would define him forever. As Shannan lay in bed, Chris strangled her to death. The attack was vicious, yet left few defensive marks, suggesting she died slowly, perhaps even in her sleep. But the horror was only beginning. As Chris wrapped his wife's body in a bedsheet, 4-year-old Bella walked into the room. She saw her father covering her mother and asked what was wrong. Watts lied, telling her that mommy wasn't feeling well. As he carried Shannan's body to his truck, Bella watched, crying. When he went back inside, he found 3-year-old Celeste awake. He loaded both girls into his truck and drove 40 miles to an oil work site, the place he considered safe for disposing of evidence. The drive was agonizing. Bella, strapped into her seat, begged her father to take mommy to a hospital. She knew something was terribly wrong. Upon arrival at the desolate site, the unspeakable happened. Chris Watts, their father, their protector, smothered 3-year-old Celeste with her favorite blanket. Bella, witnessing the murder of her sister, tried to run. She unbuckled herself and attempted to flee, but she didn't get far. Her father caught her and killed her too. Prosecutors later noted that Bella had cuts in her mouth, indicating that she fought for her life against her own father. Chris buried Shannan in a shallow grave and stuffed the bodies of his little girls into industrial oil tanks. He then drove home and called 911 to report his family missing. The image of Chris Watts pleading for the safe return of his family is one of the most chilling pieces of media in true crime history. Just hours after disposing of their bodies, he stood on his front porch, looking directly into a TV camera and said, "I just want them back. I don't want them to be gone. I love them. I don't know where they're at." His performance was immediately suspect. Body language experts noted his behavior was off from the start. He shook hands with police officers instead of showing panic. He offered unsolicited explanations, like why his truck was parked in a different spot, answering questions no one had asked yet. When a neighbor mentioned they had a security camera, Watts showed no interest in looking at the footage that would ultimately doom him. The video showed his truck backing out of the garage in the early morning hours, the exact time the family disappeared. During his polygraph test, the female investigator leaned in and delivered a prophetic warning. "Right now, there's only one person in the room who knows what the truth is, but in 5 minutes, it'll be 2 of us." Watts failed. Eventually, trapped by the evidence and his own lies, he confessed, first blaming Shannan for the murder of the children, then finally admitting the truth. He asked for his father, and in a heartbreaking scene, told him what he had done. In November 2018, Christopher Watts stood before a judge. To avoid the death penalty, he pleaded guilty to 9 felony charges, including 3 counts of first-degree murder. Shannan's father, Frank Razuchek, looked at the man he once called family and said, "I trusted you to take care of them, not kill them. Prison is too good for you." The judge agreed, calling it perhaps the most inhumane and vicious crime that he had ever handled. Watts was sentenced to 3 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole, plus an additional 84 years for the unlawful termination of his wife's pregnancy and tampering with human bodies. He is currently incarcerated at the Dodge Correctional Institution in Wisconsin. Shannan, Bella, Celeste, and unborn Nico deserved a lifetime of love and memories. Instead, they were discarded like trash by the one person who was supposed to protect them above all else. See, that's the thing about lust. It entices and reels you in, but can end up taking you down a road you never imagined you would ever walk. At the start of his affair, had you told Chris Watts that lust would one day cause him to kill his family, he probably would have looked at you like you were nuts.